Good evening, gamers, and welcome to another episode of Games with Dave. Tonight, I have the pleasure of being joined by one of my favorite YouTube creators and GMs as well as an amazingly positive voice in gaming, Leslie Horn, also known as XP Lovecat. For the past 5 years, I think I got that right, she
Yep.
has created videos about Call of Cthulhu, cyberpunk, GM tips, and even more over on her YouTube channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, Leslie. I'm so excited to chat.
Yay, thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. So, the first thing I always ask people is, how did you get into role-playing games, and what was the first game you played?
So it's all my husband's fault. So in college, freshman year of college, we were very good friends. We would hang out, go on walks, and he would tell me his stories of role-playing games, which this was a whole new world to me. I did not know anything about RPGs, but I heard his very weird stories, and and it made me think, where does this happen? How does this happen? And then one day he's like, well, we'll just play one. All right. So my first role-playing game system was Dark Heresy, which is a Warhammer 40K RPG. Not that I'm super well versed in the lore, but I know enough to be dangerous. But at that time, I knew absolutely nothing. So in addition to being plucked into role-playing games for the first time, I'm also thrown into this whole universe that I know nothing about. But it was a great time because I was playing a psyker, and within the first session, there was a psychic phenomenon that happened, which is basically when you roll on a table and random things happen, which can be ranging from okay to really, really not great. But I ended up changing places with the enemy goblins that we were fighting, which made it a lot easier for me to infiltrate their tank. So then I was hooked from session 1, and I was like, this is amazing. And I've been playing since.
Nice. It's funny how you mentioned the lore because there are hours upon hours of YouTube videos out there covering the years of lore for that game, and I've tried to get into it myself, and it's like sensory overload with all the information out there. It's
It's a
crazy.
lot. And it keeps building too, which is cool. It's not like it's just here's the facts. It's as they keep working on it and bringing out new content, it continues to build.
Yeah, it's crazy like how rich it's like a rich tapestry of a universe, really, of
Mhm.
everything with that game. I mean, it is too much for my little brain to soak in, I'll tell you. I tried with, oh, I just lost the name. I picked up a couple of the books, and now I forgot what they are, so I can't remember. And it was one of the newer editions, and I was just like, wow, by with the information, like,
Yeah.
it was crazy.
And possibly Imperium Maledictum if it was 40K. But
Yeah, I don't remember. I cannot remember for the life of me what it was now. You watch it as soon as we go off air, it'll pop right back into my head.
100%.
That's how
Yep.
it always works. So in addition to making your totally awesome videos, for folks that don't know, you also edit role-playing games, novellas, novels, and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And given your editing and role-playing background, this is a random question that kind of just went way off on a different tangent, but that's me. Um, if you were to design like a module for a convention, what do you think matters most to make it click for players at a convention?
Yeah, so I think there are two main things that are helpful in a convention setting. The first is that you have a mix of play style opportunities. So I think when I'm talking about play styles, I'm really referring to investigation, role play with each other, but also with NPCs, and combat more active moments in the role-playing game. So those are really the three main categories that I'm thinking about here. And in a convention setting, you never know who you're going to get at your table. So you don't know what their preferred play style is. There are some people that like to have 75% investigation, 20% role play, and then 10% combat. There are some people who want 80% combat and and then like way at the other end. You have no idea who is going to be sitting at your table. So having it doesn't have to be equal, but making sure you have opportunities for those different play styles, I think can make sure that you have an opportunity to click with whoever ends up sitting down at your table. So that's my first tip. The second thing for a convention scenario is the ability to trigger the ending or conclusion at different times. So you also don't know what direction people are going to go in, how they're going to play and role play with each other, but you want to be able to complete the story by the end of your session. Usually they're 4 hours, maybe a 2 or 3 hour session, but typically a 4-hour session. We want to make sure there's space to actually complete the story in that time, so you don't leave anyone hanging, and so you don't go over your limited time. It may be that everyone is having a great time, but conventions can be really busy. They might have other plans, or they just might be tired, even if they are having fun. So I think it is very important to stick to boundaries in that way and wrap up your story within your allotted time, which means that you have to have some flexibility of when that climax actually happens in your story. And so I don't if you're crafting it from scratch, like that's something that you can work in. But even if you're prepping a pre-made scenario, just thinking ahead of time, some ways that you could make that adjustable, I think could be really important to brainstorm and say, oh, this could happen here or here or here, depending on the route that my players go.
Cool. That's a great answer. And while we're talking about mechanics, you have played a lot of games and covered a lot of games on your channel. What is one mechanic from any game that you wish more designers would steal for their own game, or for their own game, or for their own game they're playing, or for a game they're creating?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this a little bit. I don't have a specific like sentence rule necessarily, but the general idea of making sure there's some sort of mental health gauge, I really enjoy that in systems that I play. So there are systems where it's just your physical health and that's all that is tracked. And I usually feel like there's something missing if they don't also have something similar to a sanity mechanic in Call of Cthulhu. It's a very classic example. But I think that the things that you do in role playing games, even in, let's say, a fantasy setting where you might be heroes, you're probably still killing things, which I feel like is
Yeah.
going to affect your sanity.
Yep. I would agree. Like even if it's villains, it's still going
Yeah,
to affect you killing something, and it's like
exactly.
I've never really thought of that, but that's a great point, because if you go through like a goblin village and you just wipe it out,
Right. Like those
that is
goblins
gonna
have families
profoundly
too.
change you with the effects that the ripple effects that it could have, like you were just saying, on the goblin community.
Yeah.
And yeah, oh, that's really good. I've never thought of that. Like, I love the sanity mechanic, and to see that incorporated in even a fantasy setting would be really cool to a
Mhm.
degree of look at Anakin in Revenge of the Sith when he's like, "What have I done?"
Yeah.
It's like that effect that it had on him would also kind of carry over to a game if,
Yeah.
in my morbid instance, you wipe out a goblin village.
Right.
So
And that's and I think you can do it in different ways too. So there are systems that are not horror, and you might want to be more lighthearted, I guess, with it. And so it's not necessarily that you have to have this weird bout of madness, hallucination, whatever might happen in a horror setting, but some sort of effect of uh, rest is needed. Otherwise, you start not operating at your full capacity. So you don't have to necessarily make it something that's horrific as a result of loss of sanity, but some sort of impact. If you think about our everyday lives, if we're not taking care of our mental health, we can't operate at our best.
Right.
So it's basically this bringing that into any sort of setting that you would want to play in.
Gotcha. So speaking of horror, you seem to be a big horror fan.
I am, yeah.
Do you think there's a sweet spot between writing a horror novella and building a horror RPG adventure? Like one feeds the other, and have you ever thought of doing like hybrid projects?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. Actually, so I touched on this a very, very little bit when I was talking about Dark Heresy and 40K. A lot of systems and worlds have novels that do influence the lore already. So I actually think I have some here. Yes. Look at that. Okay, so this one is Arkham Horror. It's called Cult of the Spider Queen. The Arkham Horror universe is impacted by what's written in these books. This one is Skaven Tide, Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and then Shadowrun. So there's already a lot of novels and short stories out there with that concept of like, we're going to explore the lore more, which you can then incorporate into your games. I mean, you can just enjoy them as books if you want to, but it's an option that you can then incorporate that into what you're playing. And I love that. I think it's just another avenue that you can explore these types of stories and immerse yourself, particularly as a GM. I mean, of course, players, it would be helpful as well. But when you are facilitating games, having confidence in the setting that you're running can just help you at the table with improv, help you feel more comfortable at the table too. I mean, there's so many. I think there can be some barriers to being a GM because it's not an easy thing to do, have people stare at you and like make sure you're doing everything right.
Right.
I think it can feel like a lot of pressure. But if you have some resources like novels to help you relieve some of that, I think that's helpful. And so on that note, I have seen both scenarios and systems with short stories integrated into it. I edited a scenario called The Unraveling by John Crowdis. It's for Call of Cthulhu. And he wrote a short story to set up what was actually going to be happening in the role-playing game session, which was a lot of fun. And then a system like Cyberpunk Red has stories throughout to kind of help you with the lore. And it also breaks up learning the system if you like want to take a break from it, because it can be a lot to learn a new system.
Yes.
So yeah, it can. So I love that idea. The answer to your question, would I do hybrid projects? Yes, 100%. As a lover and editor of both role-playing games and fiction, hybrid projects are awesome and they get my stamp of approval.
Very cool. So Call of Cthulhu, we've talked about it already a couple of times, and the vibes for it are huge on your channel. Why do you think horror RPGs, aside from the fact that they're horror, hit differently than, say, a fantasy role-playing game with the crowd in general, so to speak?
Yes, I have given this some thought because I have talked to some people in life who, when I tell them I like to read horror or play role-playing games, sometimes the reaction is very like aggressively, oh, I hate horror. So it's not a judgment of me, it's just more of them expressing like, oh, I would never.
Right.
And yeah. Have you experienced that also?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I've had
Okay.
a lot of people that are just, like, completely closed off to horror that are just exactly what you said. It's like I'll bring up Call of Cthulhu, for example,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, what is that?" And I'm like, "Well, it's a horror role-playing game." "Oh, no, I wouldn't play that. I don't like horror." And I'm like,
Mhm.
"But it's so good. It's so much more than horror." You
Yeah.
know, that
Absolutely. So I think um that's a little tangent to say I thought about why I like horror and maybe some other people don't. Um and something about horror in any media is it feels very ingrained in body sensations. So fear is a very strong feeling that you feel in your body. And I think I like that intensity and experiencing those intense moments that might feel uncomfortable to people who say, nope, no horror ever. Um, so I think in comparison to maybe some fantasy settings, there are moments in role playing games that can feel intense or emotional. If you have either a large success or a large failure, that might feel um, either good or bad in the body. But I think fear is so much higher of a feeling than those that is
yeah,
almost like a shortcut. You might feel that intensity, but it's not going to be as much and it's not going to be as quick or as ingrained in you when you leave the table and think about it 2 months later.
right.
So, like I think that whatever genre you want to play is great. I think there's different fits for different types of people, but that would be my summary. Maybe I'll write a dissertation on this of why why horror feels different than other genres.
Well, I think you're right with the fear because it sticks with you. You know, if it's something that really gets under your skin, then it's gonna stick with you longer than just
Oh
killing a
yeah.
dragon or something, and, you know, and like it's I think you hit the nail right on the head with that, so
There's a quick story I have, which I was like 3 years ago, and I had a neighbor knock on my door, and she doesn't speak English very well, and she's like, "You need to call the police. You call the police." And she was like pointing behind my house, and my back neighbor's porch was on fire.
oh,
So,
jeez.
like, okay, called 911, made sure they knew where they were going. House was fine, great. We were able to put out the fire. But when we went back there and I heard the crinkling sound of fire, it was the exact same sound you would hear if you were at a campfire that was controlled and you were making s'mores. Exact same sound. But the context was so scary that that sound of fire is ingrained in my mind of like that fire doesn't sound fun. That doesn't sound
Right.
good. That sounds scary. And like 3 years later I can still hear that fire in my head. Um and I think
Wow.
that's a very similar experience to when you experience something like that. Maybe you experience it in real life and you bring it into your role playing games, or it's something that you can really be immersed in at the table and then it stays with you.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right, like, you know, at least now I know if I ever run a game that you're in, don't put a lot of
Oh no,
crackling
you can't.
fire
You
in
can
it.
you can put
You're
it
like,
in.
"Yeah, do it. Go for
Yeah.
it."
Well, because like I like I don't know, I like being freaked out. It's weird.
Well, I'm really the same way, you know, it's like that's what I like about horror, it just hits in that way that nothing else does,
Yeah.
and it's like, and it'll stick with you where I could go and watch The Avengers at the theater, and it's just like, "Oh, that was a good movie." But when
Yeah.
I was a
Forget
kid and I
about it.
saw The Howling, that movie like, still to this day gives me the chills at certain points. It's just like,
Uh-huh.
I couldn't imagine being in that situation, and
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, no, it's like, but I love that movie for that
Mhm.
very reason, so
And we're fortunate that at the role-playing game table, we're able to experience those things in a controlled environment.
yes.
So there's like that fear, but it's in a safe place. So you don't have to actually feel um unsafe or like that you're actually in danger. So it's like a nice playground. It's a middle ground.
Yeah, yep, I would totally agree with that. So, as an editor and a gamer, what makes an RPG adventure both fun to run and fun for you to read?
Okay. I think I have two answers to this, and I'm gonna give you my boring answer first, and then I'll give you a more fun answer.
Okay.
My boring answer is clarity is king above anything else. I, as a GM, if I'm reading through a scenario, I need to understand what is happening. Because if I don't understand what's happening, it's a quick road to frustration and a bunch of page flipping. And that also means I can't do it justice, bringing it to life in the way that it was intended. Now I might be able to fudge it around and make it work at my table and we have a good time. That happens a lot. But I would prefer to be able to enjoy the preparation experience, which means I need to understand what's happening relatively quickly in a concise way. And I also need to be able to reference things at the table pretty quickly, which means formatting in specific ways that make it easier to find the key information that I'm looking for.
Yes.
So that's not a flashy answer, but it's like probably my real answer.
Okay.
um, but the other thing that I would say in terms of play or like preparation and even at the table is I my eyeballs like fun things. So like if it's formatted well and it has nice pictures, then I'm going to enjoy that experience of being able to look at those things as I read through it. And it can also serve double duty in helping me understand the scenario a little bit better. If you have a picture of the bridge that you're going to be exploring, like that can help me to describe it and envision it. So there's ways in which you can use the benefits of pictures to help with prep and make it pretty and fun at the same time.
I agree. I get easily distracted by art, and I am totally with you with finding it frustrating to have to flip all over a book to find information. I like my information for running a game to be set up very linear. Like,
Yeah,
I love when I open it up and you've got a map and then the room descriptions right next to it. It's like, thank you.
great. Right.
Yeah. Yep. So, as a GM, if you were to teach any, if you were to could teach every brand new GM one lesson that would instantly improve their GMing skills or experience, what would that kind of day one lesson be?
Mhm. Okay. Day one, someone comes to me and they said, Leslie, I've never played a role playing game before. What do I do? My advice would be keeping the game moving is more important than getting every single rule correct. Um, Naturally, when you are learning a new system, it's going to be a little bit rocky. You might have to look up a few things, but I tend to favor looking up things later or if someone at the table it's not their turn, assigning them the opportunity to look that up while we keep the game moving. It can really disengage players if you stop every 20 minutes to look up a rule.
Yep.
And I've caught myself doing it sometimes with new systems, and I'm like, wait, this is starting to be not fun. We're gonna play it like this, and let's just go. Let's have fun, and we can correct it later. Not a big deal. I think it's more important to be consistent. So if you make a judgment in your first session, and you're like, I don't know how dual wielding works, but we're gonna do it this way. Just make sure that every person that would be interacting with that type of rule, you do it the same way for that specific session. And you tell your players, we'll look it up later, but let's just keep going. Yeah, I think that would be my day one lesson.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's a great one. And I catch myself ignoring that rule far too often. And I'll be like, oh, let's look this up. And you can kind of hear the people that you're like,
Right.
like, let's go.
Yeah, we don't care that much. Like I love rules. I think they serve a very important purpose for role-playing games, but they are a facilitator, in my opinion. They are a facilitator for storytelling, which means that it's
Yes,
more important that you are there present with the people that you're playing with than it is that you get a rule right.
I agree 100%. And I've got to get better at agreeing with that at the table. Like I say that now, I agree with it, but then when I'm at the table, I'm like, and then people be like, Dave, let's go.
Let's go, man.
Yeah.
Do you have a day one lesson? I'm curious.
Mine would probably be the same, but I'm going to come up with a different one kind of on the spot. I
Okay.
would say, you've got to focus on, well, it's basically the same thing. Focus more on the story and moving the plot and the story
Yeah.
along rather than worrying about getting the rules right. Because I think, in addition to what you're saying, it also creates a panic within you
Mm,
that kind of carries over throughout the game when you're like, oh my God, how do I not know this rule? I've got to find it right now, which is part
totally.
of my obsession with it. And then you look up and you're as red as our name boxes are on the screen. And it's like, oh my God, I'm screwing this game up, when really people just want to have fun,
Yeah.
and they don't care if you will use dual wielding, if you get a D12 and then a D8. If you come up with something that turns out to be fun, they're going to be like, heck yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
And my other one would actually be to not worry so much, because even if you think you're messing up, 9 times out of 10 the tables had fun. If
Hmm.
you've just played along and had fun with, like, presenting it to them, that is a big one, I think, is just
Yeah.
have fun more
I
than anything.
definitely recall when I was early days GMing, feeling the stress of like having to know all the rules,
Yeah.
or feeling like I had to know all the rules, which
Yes.
you don't. And I was very fortunate to have people at my table who were super understanding, but also took the time to learn the rules themselves. So I'm going to be honest, there are some rules in Call of Cthulhu, which I play all the time, that I still don't know about, like ranged weapons. That's for some reason does not stick in my head. um, and I'll be like, I don't know this rule, but I know you know this rule, so you just tell it how it is, and we're gonna we're gonna move on.
Yeah, there are so many rules and systems that I don't know. I haven't run a game in a really long time, which we can talk about after. But yeah, I've got to get better at all of those things for the sake of players when I start running more games again,
Hmm.
because I worry way too much.
Yeah.
And it is the downfall of a fun game when you start to worry as a GM way too much.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, don't worry. To quote Bobby McFerrin, don't worry, be happy
There
and
you
have
go.
fun, you
Yeah.
know.
That is amazing GM advice. I love it.
So, what would you say is a moment at the table, either as a player or a GM, that has made you kind of be like, yeah, this is what I love about role playing games?
Yeah, so I have a specific story and then a more general vibe. So the general vibe that I get to experience quite a lot at my home games is when I'm GMing and I get to sit back and just not talk and observe and watch them plot or role play or do whatever shenanigans they want to do. I love just sitting back and soaking in their craziness.
Yes.
And
Yep.
yeah, it feels really rewarding to like be part of the storytelling. It feels rewarding to be um, someone who's taken the action to lead a game to help this thing that we're creating actually happen. Um, and it's just a great time when I get to watch everyone's minds go in places that I didn't expect them to.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Like, especially if you'll throw a red herring out there and they run with it. And then you almost get to that point, though, where you're like, oh no, I've got to come up with something for this
Yeah. What
because
has
they're
this
just
become?
running with it.
Okay, this was not my story that I had in mind, but a very quick one. I was playing Mask of Nyarlathotep, which is Call of Cthulhu campaign, and in one of the locations, they talked to someone who worked at the newspaper, and we had just started the session, so I had like a little bit of nerves, and sometimes I talk really fast when I have nerves. And so this person at the newspaper was talking super fast and they assumed he was on some sort of drug. Um, and I'm like, well, I guess now he has to be on drugs and forever now this person has to talk like this. So
That
this
is
is happening.
great.
And I made a drug subplot. It was fine.
That's great. I'm the same way. If I get nerved up, I'll start going so fast and tripping on my words.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah, yeah,
It happens. It happens.
it
Um,
does.
but then one other story is from when I was on Symphony of Entertainment. We did a live play of Cult and Cult Divinity Lost, which is more personal horror. Um, so it can be a little bit intense. Bridget Jeffries was our GM, and I
Nice.
remembered there was a moment in which I was my character was seeing something on her hands that no one else could see. And so then I was trying to like wash my hands, get it off. And I got so into the role play that like my adrenaline actually I felt it increase. And I was like starting to not be able to breathe very well in real life. And I was like, wait a second. I need to like take a minute to actually come down from this. And I remember having to go for a walk afterwards to come down, but I really enjoyed the experience. This is kind of back to that horror thing where it was a weird body sensation, but I enjoyed it because it stuck with me and it was a new experience. Also, with people at the table the other people I played with that I didn't know very well at the time, being able to experience something that, which is a bit of a vulnerability,
Yep.
um, was really cool. And I think role playing games is a unique opportunity to make friends really fast.
Yes, I would agree. Totally. Like, I've played with just random people at a game store in like a pickup game of
Yeah.
something like, and formed relationships that have lasted years
Hmm.
from doing that. And it's great. And that's one of the things I love about RPGs are the friendships that are forged from just sitting down, it's really the most primal thing of sitting down around a table and telling a story together
Yeah.
is no different than like the council elders sitting around like a fire and telling the tales to the kids or the villagers or whatever. So it's so great.
It's awesome. It's so cool.
It really is. And I could babble on about what I love about role playing games for hours, but
Yeah.
we'll spare the world of that tonight.
Okay, great.
So if someone were to give you, say, I guess really for lack of a better term, a blank check to create your dream role playing game setting, what genre mashup or theme would you go wild with?
Yeah. I have a weird fascination with eco horror or environmental horror. So I love when the environment fights the humans back.
Nice.
um, so a little bit of Annihilation. I'm thinking about books that are eco horror, Annihilation, Mexican Gothic, short story Color Out of Space. Those would be like the top 3 in my realm of environmental horror. And to be honest, I don't know how far reaching the system could go. I'm sure there's a lot you could do with it. But I don't know if it would get old for people. I don't know that I don't think it would get old for me, but I think some people would be like, okay, I'm done fighting trees. Like, I get it.
It's funny you said people would get tired of fighting trees because when you said environmental dangers, that was the first thing I pictured was like the
Yeah,
limbs of a tree coming together or coming down and just grabbing someone and being like,
exactly, right.
oh shit, the trees are attacking us.
So I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't. I don't know if it'd be very successful, but I would really enjoy it.
Yep, I am the same way. Like because I think it catches a lot of people off guard too
Mm,
when the environment attacks them. It's like
yeah.
because a lot of players will be tunnel vision expecting something to come at them from the front versus from the ground, so to speak.
Hmm.
And yep, very cool. So, what is your favorite way to keep players engaged without? I mean, I hate to say the phrase railroading, but railroading. Do you have any go-to tips or tricks for keeping your players engaged?
I think my number one tip is to have them help me describe things. So sometimes I think GMs assume that they have to carry that whole load. And at least at my table, we don't play it like that. And we share the description burden. Now, there, of course, is information that I'm privy to that the players aren't. So, in those circumstances, yes, I would need to describe that you see a dead body in the room because they wouldn't know that. But if you're just walking into their local tavern and there's not anything out of the ordinary, you can have them describe that or have them describe it and then say, add on, yes, and you see a creepy guy in the corner who's staring at you. So that's something that I like to do, both in terms of just everyday breaking up gameplay investigation. But I would say a lot of times in combat, I'm relying on my players to help describe what is happening. Um, if the person says, I would like to shoot that person, and they do it successfully, that I could turn that over to them and say, can you describe to me how this looks, where you shot, some specifics? And that just helps to keep their mind and their creativity going. And it's not staring at me the whole time to be like, okay, I did the thing. Now you tell me what happens. It
Right.
it's on the scale of like collaborative storytelling. It gets closer to that scale.
Cool. I like that answer. That's great. Because I try to do the same thing. I'll be, like you said, it's like, what direction did you shoot, or something like that. And it's like, okay, well, it ricochets off of this over here and hits that or something. So the last thing I had, this is, I think, a fun question, is basically dream roster, dream table time.
Yes.
If you could run a one shot for any 4 people, past, present, or fictional, who would sit at your table and what kind of chaos would ensue?
Okay.
If chaos is even the right word. I don't know. Of like, what kind of shenanigans? I like that word a little bit
There
better.
we go. Shenanigans. Great. All right. This is very interesting. It's a weird mix of people. The first person I would have at my table is Elvis Presley. 1968 comeback leather jacket Elvis Presley.
Nice.
Very specifically. Because any excuse to meet Elvis is just going to be on my radar because I am a very big fan. I also think I honestly think he would be very confused at the concept of role-playing games. I don't know that he'd be super engaged or happy to be there. He might be. I don't know. That just doesn't really seem in his realm of like things he would want to do as a hobby. But who knows?
You never know.
You never know, honestly. Like I think that's a good rule for life. You never know who's going to be interested in role-playing games, and you should give it a shot. He might love it. Okay, so I have Elvis. I have present day Paul Tremblay. He is an author. He writes horror. I know him best from The Cabin at the End of the World, which is also a movie now. And he is like a kind of cosmic horror. I would call that book in particular cosmic horror. And so his mind, I already know, is very primed and creative for horror type role-playing games, which is probably what I would be playing with this group of people. So I think he would be a very good spot at the table. Number 3 would be fictional character Victor Frankenstein.
Nice.
And I would want him before he created the creature, because I want him to be a little not all the way far gone. Like he gets a little too far gone for a little bit there. So I need him pre-sanity and more curiosity. That's the state that I would want him in.
Okay.
But he would probably add a lot of great body horror descriptions to my role-playing games.
Very cool. The Cronenberg effect, I guess you would say.
Yeah. And then my final person is, maybe it's a bit of a cop-out, but I would want my husband there too, because I have social anxiety. And so if he's there, that I will be more equipped to be able to interact with the other 3 people at the table in a more relaxed way.
Very cool. No, that's a great answer.
Okay, great.
Much like you, I can relate to the social anxiety. Like,
yeah.
Oh, I totally get it. And having like that kind of anchor there for you is
exactly
a great thing to have. Well, before we go, I would love to give you the opportunity for you to tell folks where they can find you, where they could hire you as an editor, because I've interviewed a lot of game designers. So if any of them need an editor, where could they find you? And yeah.
Awesome. So I will be best found on YouTube. XP Lovecat is my role-playing game channel. I also recently started a channel about fiction writing craft. So that is under the same name, but it's XP Lovecat Fiction. So you just add fiction to the end. And my website is xplovecat.com, and you can see all of my services either for novels, short stories, or role-playing games. And I tend to focus more on the developmental side, so helping you work and flesh out your stories, your plot, characters, or role-playing game making sure that it is going to be fun at the table and very clear for the GMs when they're reading through it. So yeah, that's where
As it
you
should
find
be.
me. Yes, as it should
Awesome.
be.
Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I have had an absolute blast talking with you. And yeah, be sure to check out Leslie's channels, check out her editing service. I'm Dave. This is Games with Dave, and thanks for joining us tonight. Have a great night, folks.